Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. So, we didn't blow up the bridges or the power plants, but we did turn the island into somewhat of a sheet of glass.
You know what's interesting, Bill? There are some people who are actually disappointed. It's like, oh, I was hoping something. I guess Trump blinked. You know, I heard somebody say that. Trump blinked. I thought, you got to be kidding. Do you think that he wanted to destroy all that stuff and to hurt those people? Heck no. You don't know this president if you think that's in his DNA.
Well, let's see. Who flinched? I mean, did he flinch by going, oh, no, we're going to take those 10 points, which is what they're reporting, and he didn't take the 10 points? Or did they blink because, hey, look out your window. See all the planes out there flying? Yep, they're sitting up there. They got their watches synchronized. Do you?
I have I read the, first of all, I listened to a talk show out of Boston who I listen to all the time.
Cooner.
Getting ready for the show. I have it on in the background. I listen to him, and I don't know whether he did all of his homework, like I think we talked about before we got on the air, because he's essentially saying what the wrong story supposedly is promoting, that Trump literally took the 10 points that the Iranians put out there yesterday, which were ridiculous. They wanted they wanted a complete ceasefire. They wanted reparations from the United States for all the damage they had done. They had wanted a resumption of their nuclear program in its entirety with no restrictions. The 10. It was a ridiculous wish list that essentially, if we'd agreed to that, we lost. Mm-hmm. If we agreed to that, we lost. What Trump said, and they talked about, they came to another 10-point agreement that they can kind of get along with, but they haven't put that 10-point list out yet. They're still negotiating in Pakistan. So Kuna gets on the air this morning, Bill, and he starts to talk about the 10 points that he said, well, both sides can say they won. No, that's not how it works. Both sides can't say that they won. Secondly, the 10 points that you're talking about are, and I'll read this and then you can make in a fiery late-night post, the President of the United States obliterated CNN World News for running a completely fabricated Iranian ceasefire statement that was traced back to a shady fake news site in Nigeria. Trump wrote on Truth Social, the alleged statement put out by CNN World News is in capital letters, fraud, as CNN well knows. The false statement was linked to a fake news site from Nigeria and, of course, immediately picked up by CNN and blamed and blared out as a legitimate headline, meaning CNN did that wrap-up smear, essentially, but they did it in a different style. But they took a lie, they promoted it as if it were the truth. The official statement by Iran was just released and posted on Truth Social below. Authorities are looking to determine whether or not a crime was committed on the issuance of the fake CNN World statement, or was it a sick rogue player. CNN is being ordered to immediately withdraw the statement with a full apology for their, as usual, terrible reporting. Results of the investigation will be announced in the near future. So that's from the president. So what he's saying is that's not the truth. So what do I hear this morning on WRKO in Boston, a 50,000-watt radio station that covers much of the Northeast and is streamed around the world? It has a guy who is usually pretty on the mark. I mean, he is. I hear him essentially doing his news based upon the fraudulent statement from CNN.
Because he's lazy. That's what happens, because you did radio, and I don't want to get into the
Yeah.
weeds on that, but usually a good morning show, does their prep when they get up 3 or 4 in the morning,
Yeah.
and they get the news fresh, and they have their sources,
Yes.
because you want to be current and fresh when people get up. But a lazy guy that might be very articulate will sit there and go, hon, that was a great dinner. Watch a little TV. All right, before I go to bed here around 8 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at all the news that we want to talk about. It ain't going to change overnight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me write some notes here. And now you can go to the internet, use the AI, print out a sheet, and you're pretty much good. And then, you sit there and go, well, I got to be at the station at 5 o'clock. I'm going to get up at 4:50, take a shower, brush my teeth, shave, get dressed, and drive in. And you walk in at 5 minutes before the show starts, kick open the door.
I know guys like that.
Kick on the mic, and then you pull up your sheets and you go, all right, well, Trump capitulated.
Yeah.
No, he did not.
That is, you may laugh, folks. I've seen guys like that. I've seen guys who do that kind of show prep. Now, I'm not saying he does it normally. I don't know Jeff.
He took a shortcut.
Yeah, but his producer also may have done it. His producer, who works the show and helps with show prep and getting sound effects and stuff like that, he may be to blame.
He might rely on a producer that does all that, and you know what? Then shame on the producer, but shame on you for not periodically checking his homework.
Yeah, that's true. And shame on you for just relying on that producer. You mentioned it. I get up. By the way, Bill and I don't do this for the money. People understand. We're basically we're retired. But we think it's important. We think that honest voices are hard to find, and an interesting opinion is hard to find. So we figure we'll contribute. But there are some guys who get fat and lazy in this business or in the broadcasting business. They have success. They're making a fat paycheck, and they rely on their producers for doing their homework. I get up and I sit down and I do my homework. I read the different articles, make sure that what we say and talk about on this program, to the best of my knowledge, is on the mark. He didn't have to dig too far to find out that the statement that he's talking about this morning on his program is wrong. It's wrong, okay? And now, I'm not saying that he does that all the time, and I'm also not saying that he's a bad talk. I think he's a terrific talk show host. Usually he's right on the mark, but today he missed. He missed an important element to this story. Now, maybe by the time we finish our podcast, somebody will straighten him out, and he will have straightened out his program. You can only hope. But he started it off by essentially saying that we agreed to the 10 points that Iran put out there, the ridiculous, I called it, when we were putting together the promotion for yesterday's show, I called it silliness from Iran. Their wish list was silliness. It was ridiculous. Nobody would agree to it. We didn't agree to that. Do you think that we would bomb those nuclear sites and then would say to them afterwards, oh, okay, you can build them up again now. No big deal. Do you think that Trump would do that? Come on.
Well, what they're trying to do, and obviously the Iranians are right by thinking this. The American media is stupid and on their side. So they can sit there and put out those stories, and, CNN go, we got a breaker here. Let's stop everything and give them this news because it's important, and Trump's an idiot. Who's the
Bill,
idiot?
I swear to God, CNN must have like a bunch of 18-year-olds doing their editing.
No, actually, they went to Disney and they hired Goofy as
really?
their president.
Really? Really? But see, that might be a step up for some of their their people, I don't know. Folks, let's be logical for a second. Do you think, now look, if I'm proven wrong, right? Let's say hypothetically, let's say for 1 second that Jeff Cooner and his approach is right. Let's say that we agreed to everything that Iran said. Just for a second, think about it logically. Do you think that that would help Donald Trump politically? Do you think that the midterms would be a rousing success because of this war in Iran? Do you think that it would be good for us to, for example, to pay reparations for the war to Iran?
Well, now that's a good point, because it would not. So who would it benefit in the United States? Well, it would benefit the Democratic Party. So why would you report a positive news story for Trump when you can just take the fake news, make crap up as you go, and then say, this guy needs to be, we need to do the 25th Amendment because look how stupid he is.
It's funny you should say that, because yesterday at least 30 Democrats signed on
35.
Thank you. A petition to invoke the what was it? The
25th
Amendment. Yeah. It's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Ro Khanna getting up there and sounding like it's time for us to reevaluate and to remove this man as come on. These people are the same people who whistled in the graveyard, right? As Joe Biden was president, the guy who was shaking hands with nobody. He's competent. I've never seen a more competent Joe Biden in his entire political career. That's the kind of stuff they were saying, which anybody who was awake could have seen that this guy was in left field and playing a different game than the rest of the team. I mean, it's unbelievable that these people have the audacity to think the American public is so stupid that they would actually go along with this the whole thing. And you heard the same characters: Cory Booker, Ro Khanna, every activist on the Democratic side was out there making a comment in front of a camera yesterday.
It's funny because Biden, when he was going out, they said, yeah, he's a very ill man. He's not going to make it very much longer. And they more or less admitted that, he was never competent. But now they're saying, he's healthier than ever. We do this 25th Amendment, and if we just go ahead and admit that the Republicans stole the election and overturn it, he's fit to go back in and right the ship, take us back to where we were, and go forward. I'm like going, are you freaking kidding me? I mean,
they have no shame on the left. They really don't. It's all about power and politics. It's not about patriotism. It's not about making America great again, like Donald Trump talks about, that they mock. Do you notice how they mock that? They mock it. They actually think that that's a stupid slogan, make America great again. I'm talking about 90% of my lifetime. 90% of my lifetime, that's all we talked about in this country, making America great. America is a great country. That's what we talked about. All of a sudden, these fools on the left, they talk about it like it's it's ridiculous. What a stupid slogan.
They take things and twist it. I mean, they're taking an old LBJ thing, talking about, I think it was LBJ that I saw the thing on there going, where in a speech he goes, it's not in the Constitution that you can deny every citizen the right to vote. And what they're doing is making the assumption that anybody that might be, their parents aren't citizens, they come over here, have a child, is born here, you're a citizen. Anybody that swims to shore without any kind of vetting is a citizen. So you get on a plane in Baghdad and you fly here, and I want to be a citizen. You don't even have to say that. I'm a citizen now. I'm here, and I have a right to vote. And basically, they're making that assumption from,
it's interesting.
Interpretation.
It's interesting. You just made an interesting point. Whether if you flew into Kennedy Airport on an international flight, and got off the plane and walked into the airport and said, "I'm an American, I'm here," well, first thing that would happen is customs picks you up and they deport you. They put you on the next plane back. Well, why is that illegal when at the southern border, if you come across the Rio Grande and you come in and say, I'm here and they put you on a bus and they fly you to a city and let you go. I mean, I don't understand the difference. One is you coming into an airplane, flying into Kennedy, walking into American soil and saying, I'm here, we're here for good, we're citizens, or we're residents, or give me money, put me up. That's immediately considered illegal and they fly you back, they deport you. But if you come across the southern border, that's different? Now, I'll never understand that. But by the way, getting back to the this 10-point agreement, this 10-point plan.
There's no point to the 10-point plan.
It says in the article, it was not immediately clear which report Trump was referring to, but the Rapid Response Team, which I guess they have at the White House, later confirmed it was a CNN live blog headline that read, Iran claims victory, saying it forced the U.S. to accept a 10-point plan. Folks, if they put out a make-believe 10-point plan that we laugh at, and then we say in a letter later on, a statement that we've agreed to much of a 10-point plan that they put out, we can agree to. We haven't said that the 10-point plan that we've agreed to is the same as the 10-point plan they put out yesterday. I mean, this is I'm telling you, Bill, the news media talking about not doing your homework. I mean, I can understand how a talk show host can get up late and, like you said, had done his homework last night and got the story wrong, But I can't understand how a news site like CNN can spend all night long with a staff doing news stories and put out a false story like that, And where the hell does it go? We're not, folks, we're going to spend, I'll be interested in seeing whether this story has legs, the story about the Trump being upset about the statement. I'll be interested in seeing whether now they're having some kind of a press conference and a briefing about the war and the statement this morning, I believe. So maybe we'll get more then. But if I were Trump, I would go on television. I'd go on television personally and say, all right, you've been lied to again by this fake media, anti-American media, and we're going to put it out there exactly to where we are right now from my mouth. If it doesn't come from me,
it ain't the news.
Exactly right. Because these people are lying to you. And they're doing this because they want political points. Bill, it's mind-boggling. I feel bad because, look, we have a worldwide reach, but our reach is such that people don't hear us all at the same time. This is the nature of podcasts. You put it out there, and it's available, and then people, they find it and they listen to it, and that's how it works. And people, we record it in the morning. Some people may not hear it until 9 o'clock at night.
Some people may not hear today's show for days because that's how the distribution goes. You got to think about it. Radio, television, from the signals. Well, we don't need it anymore. We got the internet. Yeah, you do, because internet relies on signals, wires, transmissions, but it's not all universal at once. And no matter how big the system is, and they are building systems that are so big and will take so much power, your power bills, ladies and gentlemen, will go up for these AI centers because they don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You do. And they make the money out of it. But the only way they can do that is sit there and distribute it in chunks. So they'll say, well, today we took Jim and Bill and we distributed to the West, early on, but the East will get everything day after tomorrow. So we get hits on shows that are fresh hits. And we're going, we did that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Now, if you do a live stream, like it's like a live broadcast, theoretically on the internet, that's real time, but even that can be delayed because of how it goes. But for the most part, it is real time. Streams and downloads do different things. And my friends, a big shout out for Real Media. It is live. Don't ever let your FM and AM stations go away.
That's
and I
true.
did it in that order. They are, here's a good point. Let's just say everybody's happy. And let's just say that the big iHearts of the world, they have all their stations automated.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis the internet. A guy at home in his underwear doing his show for next week. I know because I do things like that. Not for them, but for someone else. And I'm sitting there going, okay, Iran goes, screw it. We do have nukes, and we just launched them. We're at war. We got incoming. All right. If we don't have instant notification, that's all these big signal AM stations, FM stations, and local stations that have that thing that used to be, this is a test. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system.
Yeah.
This is only a test. And that was to make us, alert to, we got to do it. If that tones went off, what we had to do to physically go to a national alert. You're going to rely on your cell phone? Cell towers only have a small footprint radius.
Like a quarter of a mile. It's ridiculously limited. Yeah.
They run by batteries. Yeah, they're linked via cellular connections and things like that, but they can go down.
Yeah.
What AM radio and FM radio gave us was an umbrella that is so effective and so instant if you have a live body there that you get the word out. But, we're pissing it away. And the interesting thing is we're only doing it in this country.
Oh, I know.
You can go over to Europe.
They still
Radio's
have stations.
viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're live and local. What the hell is wrong with you, America?
Well, it's I hate to say it, it's all
We've
about
dropped
the
our pants and we're bent
almighty
over the
dollar.
hump here. Yeah.
It's the almighty dollar. It's a lot of greedy SOBs who've gotten into the business that I loved, and made a career in, and they've prostituted it for money, for the sake of money.
Remember they were going to take out AM radios out of cars. Yeah, but then they held back on that. Dodge just announced at a car show, we're just thinking about taking AM and FM radios out of the car. No radios in cars. And, they did that at the 2026 auto show. They're going to do that next year? We don't need radio.
Well,
All right.
it's gonna make an aftermarket for, radios that you can swap into them. Or it'll be that they'll say to you, you want an AM, FM in that car? Yeah, we can get it for you, but it'll be an option. It'll cost you a little more.
Well, they may eliminate it from the dash space. Then where are you going to put it?
That's true.
I think
actually take the spot where the radio was and eliminate it. Yeah.
If somebody was brave, they would make a radio that was AM, FM, and had actually, long wave or short wave in it to where at least you can hear, not to really transmit on, but that you could hear, because you do need to hear messages that are there.
I agree. I agree. And what the sad thing is, every so often on one of those big signals, the guys can get it wrong, like this morning.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a show on radio, you really have a more important opportunity and responsibility than the old days when we were all live and local. And if the little stations would sit there and go, hey, we're going to hand it off to the big guy right now, the big signal right now, because it's an emergency. There wasn't anything about.
I heard a lady call the show this morning, his show, and obviously a Trump fan, but she was literally almost distraught. She says, you got to help me make sense of this. I don't understand this, Jeff. I don't know I listen to you and I get my answer from you, which means that she was relying on him for the truth, for an accurate story. And I'm not saying he meant to be inaccurate. I'm saying that he didn't get the rest of the story. The rest of the story, which has come out subsequent to the initial story that we agreed to a 10-point plan. The CNN fake story. What do they say? I mentioned this the other day. There's a saying, a lie gets around the world 3 times before the truth gets its shoes on.
Well, that lady, she trusted that station. It's been a trusted station for years. She trusted that man. Do you think that she's distraught now?
Yes.
And that's a win for the Democrats. That's a win for Iran, because she's not going to go out and go, I think he's wrong. I'm gonna check his homework. She's taking him out of trust and faith value in him at his word, and he screwed up. And now he's taken a person and disenfranchised them, disheartened them. And if she finds out that he blew it, she's going to hate him. She's going to hate that radio station. And she might even hate the people around him, unless if he figures it out, the best thing he can do is come back and say, I made a mistake, friends. Let your friends know I blew it, but I'm correcting it. Sometimes, it's like you made a mistake in a relationship. You can't undo the mistake, but you can admit you made a mistake.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely,
that's the
100%.
First path to redemption. I screwed up.
Like and share the show. Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. We have 2 websites, itsanotherday.com or jimandbill.com. Stop by, visit our gift shop. Also, if you want to help us with a donation, that would be appreciated. And also, if you want to just say hello, you can send us an email at mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. What you said is so true about relationships. You can't fix the mistake that you already made, but you can admit that you made a mistake, which is...
Well, it's important to do that because no matter what it is, whether it's at work or I was watching a movie the other day, and it was a guy that got obsessed with something, and he thought he was schizophrenic in the movie. But either way, he thought this storm was coming, and he had these weird dreams. Long story short, he decides, he has one of those storm shelters. He decided to go buy one of those big metal moving containers and expand that shelter. He did contracting and excavation. So one weekend, he borrows the equipment and digs out the ground and puts that thing there. And his life is kind of coming apart. And all of a sudden, one day, his wife looks out, and his boss is out there looking at everything. And he goes, I didn't believe it. I didn't know that you took this equipment and used it. You caused a lot of harm. And he goes, I screwed up. I should have thought. He goes, yeah, you did. Well, the person that helped you out, he's got a week's suspension. You got 1 week's pay, and you're done.
Wow.
He admitted what he did, but there was still a consequence to what it is. And you have to, sometimes you have to take your lumps and live with it.
It's funny, Bill. CNN, I want to read you their statement.
Oh, they can't admit it.
Yeah, CNN pushed back on President Trump's claim, asserting that the Iranian statement originated from official regime spokespeople. Quote, the statement in question was obtained by CNN from Iranian officials and reported on multiple Iranian state media outlets. We received the statement from specific official Iranian spokespeople who are known to us, end quote, the CNN. So they've essentially said to President Trump, right here with your problems with our statement, right here. You know what I'm saying? And you can imagine. But President Trump is not a stupid guy. Mm-hmm. Yes, he has an ego and a lot of this stuff, but I ask you, if he would have to be really, really deranged, I think, to go to war because of all these different things that the Iranians have done wrong, and then have the Iranians come out with 10 points about you have to give us reparation, we have to have our nuclear program restarted, we have to do this, we have to do that, all these things that a winner. You even said yesterday the 10 points they put out initially were the points of a victor. They were the points of a winner, and we laughed at it on the show yesterday. And essentially what CNN is saying is that, well, yeah, we agreed to all those points. Trump, if he did that, that would be the end of his career. That would be the end of his legitimacy. People around the world in those countries that we were mocking in NATO that didn't come to his aid would say that's the reason why we didn't get involved with that war, because this guy who is fighting that war is on a different planet. He's not serious. And we're serious countries. They would come out and belittle him for what he's done.
You know, in negotiation, the one thing you want to do, no matter what you're negotiating, and no matter what whatever your vulnerability is, you always walk in strong and you deal from a position of strength. You find your highest ground that you can stand on, and you present your case. And then, you know, the other guy may have more ground and more height to stand on, but at least you stand tall going up. Now, the Iranians came in, they fight to the death. So their ground that they stand on is everything they want, take no prisoners. Trump is kind of the same way, but he is the art of the deal guy, which comes from the art of war.
Yes.
Which you find the highest ground that you can defend on all sides all the way around. And there's only one path up to get to you, and you hold that ground.
That's right. You know, President Trump he's not stupid. He's, like you said, I heard one guy say, obviously, the Iranians didn't read the art of the deal. Or neither did any of our Democratic politicians, because everything that Trump has done has been based upon that book. He wouldn't capitulate, folks. It's not in his nature. Do you think that he would give ground? I mean, literally, if Trump agreed to the 10 points that they were talking about, it would be an absolute victory for the Iranians. And it just wouldn't make any sense at all. And all of those people that I respect who are military people who support the president and still do, they wouldn't go along with this. I heard Kuna say, well, Lindsey Graham's ticked off this morning. No, he's not. I haven't heard a thing about Lindsey Graham. That is speculation, and I've been paying attention. I hear that. Go ahead.
I was saying, him mentioning Lindsey Graham means he didn't have enough show prep. He didn't have enough to talk about, so he's out there reaching for names. Well, Lindsey Graham, you know, he's not happy. Really?
How do you know?
Yeah,
he hasn't made a statement.
Now you're sounding like a Democrat.
Yeah. I'm looking at all these websites. I don't see any comments from Lindsey Graham. You know, that is, and believe me, folks, if Lindsey Graham said something that was against what Trump did, we'd all hear about it. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham, you know, I mean, for whatever you do like about him or dislike about him, he's been in office for a long time. He works the way he works, and you know, just like Trump is bombastic, Lindsey Graham has his own bugle that he blows to his sheet of music and his tune, and it works for him. And you know, he's still going strong, and I think he's sometimes wishy-washy, but you know, he's in the right place at the right time.
He is, and and does he think that we have a strong army and we should use it on a regular basis? Probably yes, more so than we should.
You know, Lindsey might seem like he's a mild guy, and maybe he was, but maybe he found his strength was being in a position of power because he believes in strength. You know, and you know you might say he likes a war because. Go ahead.
The other thing is this, Bill. It's only a 2-week delay. See, this is the other thing Kuna wasn't talking about. Nobody's pointing out the fact that we've agreed to a 2-week ceasefire with the possibility of an end to the war. But It still is the only guarantee they've got right now. The only guarantee is that we'll give them 2 weeks. Now,
They have been buying time week after week. Give me just a little more time because they're trying to find a way to weasel out. Now, what did Trump do right after that ceasefire? Actually before 8 o'clock last night, that island that they control that I think we built.
Bomb the living hell out of it. Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I was saying turn it into a sheet of glass. Well, they cooked it yesterday.
Yeah.
They cooked it last night. They're going, yeah,
Oh, by the way,
boom.
and with that, they didn't destroy the whole thing intentionally. It was almost like they did it to say, wait a second, we want to show you what we can do. We talked about that bridge. That bridge?
Yeah.
You remember the bridge that Trump must have said to him, oh, you don't think it was serious?
Take a look out the window.
Yeah, you see that bridge outside your window? Boom. 10 minutes later, it was gone.
Yeah, and then they said, "Well, yeah, you know what? Maybe we should talk." But yeah, they're buying time. And if Trump didn't want to buy time too, he's got to be ready to pull that trigger, and he was. And I guarantee, had they not capitulated, the Iranians, their power grid would be down. Now it would have been done probably in 2 hours, not 4. Because one of the things that I do know is that you give a time schedule. Now, he did give a hard, fast time.
Yeah.
But, what might be hours might be minutes. So in 4 hours, we're going to do it. Well, he could have had that figured out. Yep, you guys are going to go in mass. It's all going to go off at once. It'll be 4 minutes. Days will be hours. Hours could be days. You don't give a time schedule that will sit there that's hard fast that they can go by. You confuse them. You have your own clock.
They came to an agreement at 7 o'clock Eastern last night. That's when they made the announcement, around 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And it's like I said, it's only 2 weeks.
It's a game of chicken.
It's a 2-week delay.
That's it.
Now, let's think about what would have happened if we attacked last night. All of our options, or most of our options, would be off the table. We would be blowing the living daylights out of Iran, and that country that would like to save in the long run would be a lot harder to save because it would be a mess. Maybe it would take 20 years to get them back to where they are today. So why would Trump take a 2-week hiatus? Because it makes sense.
Yeah.
He can do it. He can say, look, I'm being, also, by the way, to the rest of the world, it says, I'm not going to just blow up Iran for the sake of blowing up Iran. I'll give them a chance. I'll show the whole world. Go ahead.
Here's the other thing they're not talking about. There is no internet there. There is no radio there. But I do know that the people there, they love Trump. They love America. They want to be liberated from these evil souls that have run their country for decades upon decades upon decades. Now, what did they do when Trump was in? We're going to blow those bridges up. They took innocent children that have no clue, gave them signs that they don't know what they were really talking about, and they put them on the bridge, and they put innocent citizens out there too.
Yeah.
And they didn't know, because they didn't hear what the ultimatum was, or they wouldn't have been on that bridge, and they used them as human shields. They do not, and of course the left's going, he doesn't care about kids. He doesn't care about these people. He's going to kill them all. Well, let me ask you a question. We're not blowing up the bridges and everything, and so we didn't kill those kids or children. I hate to say it, this, but if we let this regime go on, they're already dead.
And here's another thing to consider. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, that we intentionally allow the Iranian people to consider the fact that maybe the existing government is going to stay in power when the dust settles, right? Now, the people in the country may be, and with reason, supposedly 40,000 of them were murdered in demonstrations in February. But let's say a lot of them figured, the Americans will take care of it. We're going to be out of this in no time. But let's say all of a sudden they get a rumor that maybe America is going to make a deal with these people and we're going to end up with the same crappy regime. Maybe we've got to stand up. We've got 2 weeks to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The people have got 2 weeks to get out on the streets en masse and take their government back. Maybe that's the signal that President Trump is sending this morning. He's not doing it for us. He's doing it for the Iranian people. Get off your ass and get it done.
Maybe what we're going to do is do something the old-fashioned way. Fly the planes over and drop leaflets down with the instructions of what to do in their language.
Well, that may happen. That may happen. Absolutely.
And when Trump said he would destroy the bridges, destroy the power companies, I believe he's serious. And he doesn't want to take children. He loves children, actually. He really does. And he loves people. He really does, despite what the left says. So he's got to, carry a big stick. He doesn't walk softly or quietly. He lets you know he's tromping in the woods. He wants you to know what he's up to. But what people don't know, and we don't know, maybe Venezuela knows a little bit, is that we might have some weapons that nobody really knows or understand. I remember when everybody was afraid of the neutron bomb, and there was such a thing, not the way that you think, but the idea is that it would sit there and take out people and leave infrastructure intact. Imagine, if you will, because they did say down in Venezuela that we had some kind of electronic thing that caused nausea. That's a sonic weapon. That's instant. It's right away. It goes on, and it goes off as quick as it goes on when you kill the switch. So let's just say that you've got something that can not only sit there and nauseate you, but render you unconscious. Renders you unconscious or immovable for 2 or 3 hours. Would that be enough time to go in and separate the innocents from the guilties?
Mm-hmm.
And then get them to safety? And then a team taking all the guilty and rounding them up. And now we have them. And now while we have them, then we go blow up their plants and their bridges. And because we can rebuild whatever we need to rebuild for the innocent and get rid of that guilty.
Well, according to the New York Post, a futuristic tool detected the missing fighter pilot we just picked up. We used a futuristic tool called the Ghost Murmur. It pairs long-range quantum magnetometry sensors with AI to find human heartbeats. I'm serious. I'm reading this right now. Mm-hmm. It's from the New York Post. They used a futuristic weapon, or not weapon, but tool, to find that missing pilot. His heartbeat. Unbelievable.
Well, yeah, heartbeat, and I bet you they have a way. Of detecting with AI. Everybody radiates a signal. We have a signature. Right where you sit, there's a signature. Maybe we can't read it, but AI, because everything's digitized and everything, it can isolate down to a single person.
This is the German background that you have in you there. Yes, of course.
So it's a good weapon.
Yes.
It's scary when you think about it.
It really is.
Wait. I mean, think about that in criminal detection. No, we know where he is.
Remember the song Martha and the Vandellas, Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide? Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're in a strange time in history.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to embrace it. But, Trump may have a lot of these things at his disposal. But I think Biden did too.
Hey, like and share the show. Tell your friends, Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. We have 2 websites, itsanotherday.com, jimandbill.com. Also, we have a gift shop. We'd appreciate you looking at our stuff and buying something. Helps us out in the long run. Also, if you don't see anything you like, you can make a donation to the show. We would appreciate it because it helps the program grow, get the word out. And if you want to send us an email, it's mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
The other thing is this, folks. Do you honestly think that if there were a sensitive war negotiation going on right now, that we would go to the press and hand out the 10-point agreement and say, well, this is what we've agreed to right now. We haven't really got into our negotiations, but here's what we have. I would think that the closest thing they would keep to their vest is that agreement, because they want to be able to alter it, change it, adjust it. They're not going to come out with the details until they've got a final agreement, something they both agreed to. Now, the Iranians may come out with a lot of nonsense, but you would think a mature American media would say, don't trust it. It's a lot of BS and propaganda from the Iranians. Let's wait and see what happens. Trump is a guy who you can see in his press conferences. How many times have you watched a press conference and Trump will be asked a question and Trump will say to the reporter, yeah, I do, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. Why would I tell you what I'm going to do? He does that all the time. So all of a sudden we're to believe that they're in the middle of a sensitive 2-week ceasefire, and he's going to say, well, here's what we're talking about, folks. Here's what we've agreed to, and here's what we're still working on. I don't think that would happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I do think this, though. I think the Democrats are running scared and tired of not being able to beat Trump, that I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, every day there's a threat in his life. I wouldn't be surprised if they blatantly try to do something again soon.
You know, folks, you can shake your head and say, "Oh, that's not going to happen." I would have said on July 13th was it 24, 25? I get the years. I think it was 25. I would have said, "Oh, they're not going to shoot at Trump in Butler, PA." Butler? Are you kidding me? It's a fairground, for gosh sake. I've gone to Butler. I've seen Butler. It's just a little town in western PA.
I had property right by those fairgrounds. Yeah. Actually, it's the farm show grounds where they do their fair too. Yeah, I had a house over 40th Street there.
And all the time that you lived there, could you ever imagine that land would be the site of a violent assassination attempt on a president of the United States of America? Never.
No, as a matter of fact, I thought it was a Democrat convention there, right around this time every year when you had the flies and the cow poop from the farm ground. Well, you laugh, but I'm sitting there. I was on 40th Street, and then there was, houses right across the street, and behind those houses was the fence and the farm grounds, and in the backdrop there would have been the stage that he was on. So that's how
you must have gone by the building that shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, climbed up and, made his perch.
Yeah, that's over by the highway. Like if I were standing in the front yard facing the homes across the street and then the fence that's behind the farm grounds, going to the left is where that building would be. And then beyond that is the state highway.
So how far a walk from your house would one of those buildings be? 10 minutes? From where you lived?
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
See? And folks, the kid, for all intents and purposes, we don't know the truth about that story yet. We've been told a lot of nonsense, and then we're told there's nothing to see here, just keep moving along. We're told by the FBI, well, you've heard everything. There's nothing more to talk about. Are you kidding me? 3 bank accounts and overseas bank accounts and for a 23-year-old kid who was working as I guess he worked in a assisted living center or something like that. I mean, this how did he get 3 bank accounts? One in New Zealand, one in Belgium, one in Germany. Come on. But I hate to say it, folks. They treat us like mushrooms. Do you know how they treat mushrooms? They keep them in the dark, and they cover mushrooms with BS, except it's the more descriptive term, BS. But that's the
fertilizer.
Truth. Yeah. They cover mushrooms with fertilizer, and they keep you in the dark, and that's exactly what they do to us in the United States, the public. And they tell us, we've told you everything. How much do you think we've learned about the Charlie Kirk shooting?
Charlie Kirk?
Kirk, yeah. I'm sorry, Charlie Kirk. One of those days. It's a passionate day, folks.
Well, yeah. I actually kirked up some eggs this morning.
Did you
Wait a
really?
minute.
Make fun. Go ahead. Yeah, cutie. Yeah, little. Anyway, so folks, we got a 2-week pause, and it is to our advantage to pause for 2 weeks. I think it gives the people of Iran 2 weeks to get their act together, get out there and take their country back. I think that is going to happen within the 2-week period. This is their last opportunity. And you just said something. I would not be surprised if we didn't drop millions of flyers throughout Tehran, flood the place with flyers, that tell the truth. And
well, we can't get to them by the internet.
they say
We
1%.
can't get to.
They say 1% of the country still has it. I don't know how
Yeah,
they
well,
have it.
that's really getting at the masses there. We can't get to them over the air.
Yeah.
I mean, we could broadcast a signal here, but if they don't have power or the radio or the batteries or any of the above, forget about it. What are we going to do? Send out people with, with a cup or a drum and,
Well, could Starlink?
Yeah.
Could they?
They don't even have cell phones.
Well, that's true. If you don't have a receiver, what good it is? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you got nothing, you got nothing.
Have they lost their computers too? I mean, the actual devices. I wonder, because they did at one time have internet in the country.
Well, you can do it. Yeah, there's a Starlink, Skylink, whatever. There is a signal, but if these people are being isolated, there's a power grid there, but are they letting them have the power to do what they got to do? The one thing that they don't have, like my cell phone, maybe somebody does, but I would think that, it would be apropos to sit there and have a self-charging phone to where it uses your daylight and everything to charge by itself. It could be the box that does that has contacts so that when your phone is sitting there, the ambient light would charge your phone. There's an idea for somebody.
I have a solar block that you can buy in a store that it's a battery with some small solar panels on it that you fold out, and it literally charges the battery, and then you can take that battery and plug it into your cell phone. So you're never without a charge. You could be out in the middle of nowhere with no electricity and be there for months as long as you have this little block that has solar charging capabilities. You're able to charge your cell phone.
Right.
But I do think, Bill, that the cell phone should have some kind of built-in solar power generation. They could do that.
Yeah, well, they could make the protective case.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of solar case, and it has 2 contact points that hooks to the camera, or when it snaps on the phone, it covers those points, and that way it's self-charging. It always charges by itself. So if you're out lost in the woods, your phone will charge up. It might go dead on you, but you could sit there and say, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to fish right now and get some water. And by the time I have my meal, an hour has gone by. Okay, I can turn this thing on. And maybe it even has reserve power to where you could have a homing signal that you could set off in an emergency.
By the way, that charging block that I told you that I have also has the ability, if you're next to an outlet, you can plug it in and charge it that way too. It gives you both ways of charging, either with a little solar panel or with the plug. They're out there, folks. There are ways of doing this, and the technology is available. You have to ask yourself, why haven't these phone companies come out with these things already? Why haven't they made that an option? This is a self-charging phone. I've never understood, Bill, why these electric cars don't have roofs that are made of a solar panel, so that the electric car is constantly charging because you're driving it in the sunlight.
Why can't the body of the car essentially be a one big solar panel?
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter what color it is. It has the polymers to let the sun go through.
Yes.
And then when it bolts down, you've got a hot bolt and a grounding bolt that goes to your power system. So it's always charging on the road. And then put a dynamo in there, and a dynamo that maintains. All of a sudden, now an electric car makes a lot of sense to me. You know,
I mean, you would have a constantly charging car. Constantly. Whether you're driving it or just parking it. Just let it charge. It's in the sunlight. And by the way, I didn't really realize this until I got a little outdoor camera, which is a solar powered camera, and I said, does it charge even on cloudy days? It doesn't charge as well on a cloudy day, but yes, it does.
any kind of light charges.
Yes.
So you got daylight even filtered through the clouds. It is the energy in the light that does it. The more you have, the brighter it is. Yeah, it's quicker, but I have one of those things. And, I get alerts, and I'm going like, I have it in an area of the house that's kind of blind, and I'm sitting there going, I want to know what the hell's going on out there. Usually it's an animal or something like that, but it's nice to know.
Well, I got a question for you. Now we're into this 2-week ceasefire. Do you think it's going to last? Are we
No, I think they were buying time. The Iranians, and I'm not saying as a people, but this military regime, they have a take no prisoners. They do not believe it. They will fight to the death. They believe, that they want their 72 not virgins, raisins is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they do it for that. And I don't know if that's true or not, the translation that they got it wrong, but it is a funny story, the surprise, I made it to heaven. What is what are my virgins? Virgins? No, you get raisins.
Yes. Yeah, if you missed it, apparently, what's his name? The guy in CNN who knows Arabic or something like that said an exact translation isn't that you would achieve 72 virgins as a reward for your sacrifice. You would get 72 raisins.
Well, Jim, at least it's not prunes, but it's close enough.
That's true for government work. Yeah, I don't know whether they can be trusted. I don't think the 2 weeks are going to hold. The Straits of Hormuz have to be opened up completely and without any limitation. We're going to find that out probably today or tomorrow. If they aren't getting the traffic through, and if they're stopping the traffic, or if they're attacking the traffic, then all bets are off. The game is over. I do think that Trump has done this pause not for the existing government. It's for the people of Iran to do what they have to do to take control of their country. I know that they want to do that. They've said they wanted to do that. But, people become complacent. If they think that somebody else is going to do it for them, well, hey, listen, I'll just stay at my house, and in a couple of weeks, America will take it for us, and we'll be a free nation again. Well, maybe if they think that America is about getting ready to pack up their toys and leave, and they're going to be stuck with the same old, maybe they're going to say, hey, we haven't got a lot of time. We've got 2 weeks. Let's do it. Let's do what has to be done. Let's take back our country. Let's do it now. But I also think that the Iranian government knows this. I think that they're stalling for time. I don't think they expect to make the 2-week period either. I think they're going to...
It could blow up again this week.
Yes.
It could be blowing up right now while we speak. They got down to an hour away. And, because I think we talked last night just before 7 o'clock. And, well, I'm turning it on because this is going to be a fireworks show. And I was really going to be curious as how the news was going to handle it, because everything is hate Trump, and he's got no heart. He's got nothing. He's an evil, foul man. And, But, everything that you hear, do not believe, because it is not the truth. You really have to go out and do your homework.
I'm surprised they didn't say to us, the Iranians, we have cells in your country and we have devices in your country. And if you attack us, we will destroy your major cities or a major city or something like that, even if they didn't have it. I'm surprised they didn't use that as a
Well, I think
weapon.
they do have it, but maybe they're not ready yet. Or think about this. maybe we know where some of these cells are through our own intelligence.
Right.
And we were able to disable them, and they're going, he's blowing up the
Now,
island.
yeah.
He's not flinching with our people on the bridge that don't know what the hell's going on, that their lives are in danger. He's going to blow up the grid, and, he's got Jihab. Jihab is now in custody, and Jihab was going to blow up the, whatever. I'm sorry.
Yes. Now what do we do, Allah? I don't know.
You don't get your raisins down there, that's for sure.
Anyway, it will be interesting to see whether are we going to make the 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't think I'd put my my retirement money on it. Would you?
Well, I don't have any retirement money, so I
If you did, hypothetically, would you put it? Would you bet that would make the 2 weeks? I don't know.
well, a wise man with money does not bet it.
That's true. Isn't that the truth? That's what it's once said by a guy named Bernie Madoff. Anyway, folks, I think that's about going to do it for us because we did something we hardly ever do.
Oh, geez.
We spent the whole hour on one topic.
That's.
But it's a big topic.
I have 30 topics here.
Well, I got a bunch of topics too. I got audio that we haven't played, and they're all crying. You didn't play me. Tomorrow is another day, like that line from Gone with the Wind.
I do. I here's something funny. It's the same topic, but apparently, negotiations begin Friday for them. And where does it begin? Islamabad,
Pakistan. Yep.
Yeah, but I love it. The name, Islamabad, Islamabad.
Yeah.
I'm like going.
They pronounce it Islamabad. They don't say.
Well, bad. To me, it's the same.
Islam
thing.
is bad. No.
I would have rethought that name.
No. Well, there's a lot of things they should have rethought. I think they should have rethought taking Donald Trump for granted. That's. And by the way, again, folks, just don't listen to the media for the truth. If you don't hear it coming from President Trump or J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth, those are the four, then I would just be weary of it, all right? Because it may not be truthful.
Islamabad. I think I would have told, back when that happened, if I were around.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have sat there and said, Omar, stick to making tents.
Yes.
You do not get to name the places on the map.
No
offense.
No virgins
Omar.
For you.
Yeah.
No virgins for you.
Here's a half a box of raisins. Go eat
now,
them.
Okay, what about, do I hear anyone for Islamabad? Yeah, I know. Anyway, folks, I'm about done. Do you want to take us out of here, Bill?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? We're going to drive the fast car away from this show.
Good.
Yeah, because maybe in Islamabad, they're talking about us right now. So until next time, we'll be at a new bunker somewhere deep beneath the ground in a shielded location. Until then, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we? And why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one, or split and divide, or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swill. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue? with Brightside Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved.
This is CRN America.